Hey guys. All right, we're coming in live. Jeez, completely forgot to plug in the microphone. As you already know, always falling a little behind over here.
Bruh.
So, welcome back to another live stream. As you guys already know, for those of you guys that watch this channel all the time, I was not here last Thursday, so obviously, a little rust, started to develop, especially out here in Mérida, Yucatan, which is where I'm from, where rust develops very quickly, for many reasons. So it is what it is. But hey, we're here and we're live, and hopefully you guys can hear me. Please let me know how's the sound and how everything is coming in on your end over there. So shout out to everyone. So in today's video, hold on, everything good? Okay. All right, just got like a notification. My streaming thing wasn't working. Oh my God, even my computer doesn't want to work today. Okay. So, all right, we're just gonna, again, give it a few seconds here while everything kind of, gets settled in on the live streaming end over here. So, anyway, shout out to everyone out there that made it, is here, and you already know, this is live, and it's just random how things happen. A lot of times everything just goes great. Sometimes it doesn't. It is what it is. Okay, so in today's video, in today's live stream, we're going to be talking about Guadalajara. Yeah, that's right. We just came from Guadalajara. I just flew in, and I'm extremely tired, as you know.
Bruh.
I know, sorry, I can't help my jokes sometimes. But let's get Guadalajara right here up on the screen real quick so you guys can get an idea. We'll go into detail in a little second here. But we just came from there. We were there last week. That's why I did not go live last week. I got this shirt. Look at this cool shirt over there in Guadalajara for pretty cheap. And, Guadalajara was awesome. Let's just get right into that. Guadalajara, was amazing. It was great. I really, really loved it. Christian really, really loved it. We are already looking forward to going to visit it again real soon, or as soon as we can. You already know, costs money to go out there. It's just like anywhere else. But we really loved it. In fact, we loved it a lot more than we thought we would. And it's a big city. I was on, under the impression it was a smaller city or a smaller metropolitan area, but until we got there, and then we realized, oh, wait a minute, this area, the city is huge. Now, I did not go to some of the other popular places around Guadalajara, meaning, we did not go to Puerto Vallarta, we did not go to Ajic or whatever it's called. We did not go to Lake Chapala. We didn't go to any of those places, all right? We just stayed in Guadalajara, and we were there for 5 full days, okay? We were there 6 days, but, travel, so it doesn't really count, but 5 full days we were there, and I was able to get tons of footage. Okay, so be expecting videos on that soon. Meaning you already know how I do on the channel. I got my topics, I talk about the topics, and then in the background, I show you guys what the city looks like, or what Mexico actually looks like. So I think for some of you guys out there, you guys are also going to be thoroughly astonished, impressed, awed, just like I was. Obviously, there's nothing like actually being there, to really, kind of understand and see, what it's like out there. But, again, for me, it was, wow. I was, like I said, I was in shock, but it was a good shock. I was in shock by how amazing of a city it is. Now, again, at the end of the day, it is a city. It's not the same as where I live. I also live in a city here in the middle of the Yucatan. I live in Mérida, Yucatan, but it's a small city. I'm a big city guy. I'm from Miami, South Florida. For anyone that knows the area, it's, just like most places on the East Coast, or Northeast, where it's just like a lot of city, just constant. There's no gaps in between. So that's South Florida. That's Florida. That's what I'm from. I also lived in places like Los Angeles, which is also huge. In fact, when I lived in Seattle, all right, by the way, for anyone out there that's interested in, my adventures and when I moved to Seattle, we're going to be talking about that in next live stream. Okay, so again, if you guys, a little shameless plug, I got my other show that I do after this show every single Thursday. And we're actually going to be talking about when, I lived in Seattle for 5 years. So, stay tuned for that in case anyone out there is interested. We'll talk a little bit more about that later. But today, we're going to be talking about Guadalajara on this channel. All right. So with that said, for me, going to Guadalajara was a happy surprise. Because, I've been to Mexico City multiple times, and it's a really, really big city. And it was giving me more of like New York vibes, which is all right, you know what I mean? But it's not my cup of tea. I'm a Miami, Los Angeles kind of dude. And when I was in Guadalajara, I was like, wow, this feels like home. This feels great. Now, obviously, it's in the mountains. It's a different kind of weather and so on and so forth. But at least, for the vibe of the city for the time that we were there, and just the tone of the city and the climate and so many other things, man, it was something that I really, really enjoyed. But again, this is why I'm making these videos, and we're going to be talking about more in weeks to come about Guadalajara. But, at the end of the day, it's not for everyone. I totally understand why people would want to live, in a place like Mérida, or a place like Puerto Vallarta, or Mazatlan, or Lake Chapala, or whatever, because Guadalajara is a big city. And there's a lot of people in my audience that are basically retirement age, or looking to retire, or in that age group. And so therefore, a city like Guadalajara, it's like, if you're looking to retire, you're not looking to move to Los Angeles, you know what I mean? Or Miami. Now, you might be moving to California or Florida, but you're looking to be, again, somewhere more quiet per se, again, a beach town, and so on and so forth, somewhere, maybe a retirement community type area, type place, whatever. So I totally get it. And, for most of you guys, I don't know how much about my full story, but, how I landed out here in Mexico, basically 6 years ago. I just put my finger on a map and I landed in Mérida. That's it. Okay. That's super long story short. Okay. And so obviously, when I landed here, my first impressions of Mexico were Mérida, were the Yucatan, the Caribbean. And as I traveled to other parts of Mexico, I went to Mexico City, I've been to Oaxaca, I've been to other places, again, now Guadalajara. Wow, I've really gotten to see Mexico. I really, and again, there's so much more of Mexico to see, but I've been seeing more of it. And as I've seen more of it, it's been even more eye-opening. All right. And it's made me quickly realize, how, not just how big Mexico is, but how rich Mexico is, because that's like a big misconception a lot of people have too, that, everyone out here is poor, they're on donkeys, they're a bunch of savages, it's all crazy out here, but it couldn't be any further from the truth. Like I said, when I was in Guadalajara, I quickly saw like, oh, wait a minute, Mexico has money. Not only do they have money, they're spending money. There were plenty of places, okay, that were renting homes, okay, for 80,000 pesos. Okay, so like $4,000, $5,000, okay? And Mexicans were very happily paying that, okay? I mean, of course, this is like upper echelon, upper income Mexican individuals. But, it's not like there was a lack of them in Guadalajara. In fact, the majority of the people in Guadalajara, they seemed, more of the higher end, or high income individuals. Now, I did stay in Zapopan. Here, let's just go to the map for a quick second here. So as you guys can see there on the left, okay, here, I'll kind of click on there. So I stayed in Zapopan, okay? And to be more specific, I stayed, by all the way up there, the Telmex Auditorium. And again, that's just like a regular, auditorium, basically like a basketball stadium, or whatever that you would be used to in the U.S., you know what I mean? And so, again, when I was walking around, when I was driving around, when we were taking the train and so on and so forth, I quickly realized, oh, wait a minute, Guadalajara, or this whole area, is very nice, very, very nice. And the gentrification here is completely different. It's just like more of like the typical gentrification that you might know of, which is just simply, again, the areas just keep getting better and better and better as the income of the individuals in the neighborhoods keeps getting better and better and better. And, as opposed to, the gentrification you might see in a tourist town or, again, like Merida, Mazatlan, Oaxaca, whatever, where they're, basically more, their industry, their economy is basically based more on tourism. Okay. Yeah, sorry about that. I don't know if you heard a little noise there. So with that said, like Guadalajara is not based on tourism. You know what I mean? Like that's not their industry. Their industry is, tech, like you would see in Silicon Valley. Their industry is, they have a lot of Fortune 500 companies there. They have manufacturing. They got a lot of, again, farm, kind of area. Let's zoom out a little bit. Okay. So, they got a lot of, again, I don't know that much about Guadalajara. I just, from what I saw when I was there, but, they have a very, very, deep, how do I say this, agricultural, kind of situation there, because we went to the markets and my gosh, you know what I mean? Like, they had tons of fresh fruit and vegetables and food and so on and so forth. And, living out here in Merida, here, let's just give you a little perspective. Merida, Yucatan, over here where I'm at, sure, we grow things out here, and we do have, a lot of local, what is it, like food that we grow, whether it's, chickens and pigs or oranges and avocados. Well, I don't think they grow avocados here, but whatever, whatever they grow out here. But it's again, we're in the middle of the jungle. So not only is it more difficult to grow things out here, but again, we're just like kind of like in the middle of nowhere. But then when you go out here to the middle of the country, especially a place like Guadalajara, which is right in the middle, okay, of the agricultural belt. And, where, everything is really grown and, they have a lot of fertile soil, land, a big culture of, agriculture and growing. All of a sudden you're like, oh, wow, the abundance here is next level. The abundance of food is just next level. And the quality, is next level as well. As we were seeing in the markets and we were seeing all over the place, what they really do have available here, which is really nice. And so, like, I'll give you an example. I'm out, when we're out here, we go and to the store and we buy some blueberries or blackberries or raspberries, and we get like the little package, the little plastic package that we, you get at the store as well. And it's like it costs somewhere in between like $3 to $4 for just a few berries. And then when we were in Guadalajara and we were walking around the market, we got like a big bucket of berries for the same price. And when you buy the berries at the store here in Merida, they go bad within a few days. Over there, we bought them Monday and they were still fresh and great and amazing, by the time we left on Saturday. Okay. So just to give you some perspective, and that's just berries, that's not including so many other things like, again, the meats, and so on and so forth. All right. And, so we were like very taken aback, but the one thing that we were taken aback by most, again, look at some of these pictures here. Look at the buildings, look at some of the, how things look out there. I don't know if you guys can see on screen there. Okay. Now, I don't want to show you guys the videos that I took yet because, that's kind of like a surprise for later. But just, so you can get an idea of what things kind of look like here. And it's very nice. Here, look at this picture here, you see? So you see it's a big major city. All right. And, with a big major city, it comes with a lot of, is that snow? Oh, that's not snow. I thought it was snow. I was like, oh man, I didn't know it snowed there. But it doesn't. It does not snow because I checked, okay, just out of curiosity. It does not snow here. In fact, the weather here is more like San Diego, a little colder than San Diego, but, kind of like mild throughout the whole year for the most part, compared to here where it's like 106 degrees outside right now, so as you guys can see, it's a major city. It has, all kinds of things, and it's all accessible to everyone there. Let me show you something. So we were staying. Okay, so by the way, look how cool this is. All right. By the way, so again, it's a happy accident. I'm wearing this shirt, Nirvana, Seattle. We're gonna be talking about Seattle next in the next show. There's an area called Seattle. Okay, we were staying in the area of Seattle, believe it or not. again, happy accident. It's just when we finally got the Airbnb, it just so happened to be in this neighborhood called Seattle. But just so you can get an idea, here, like, this is right by where we were staying. We were walking down this path. I mean, check this out. So, I don't know if you guys can kind of see it there, but this path over here on the right is like a giant, walking path, bike lanes, people are walking their dogs there, doing all kinds of fancy stuff. You'll see more later because, again, I filmed, a lot of this, and you got to see. I was walking around a lot, filming as much as I can. I got over 600 gigabytes, okay, of footage, of all kinds of footage. I was even riding a horse, okay, so expect that later. Yeah. Sorry, Lambo's getting a little jealous back there, but I was even riding, we rode a horse and everything, all right? So we did all kinds of cool stuff. So it's an amazing city. And I really, really enjoyed it, and I loved it a lot, okay? I loved it a lot, okay? I walked through a lot of this area. We walked in that park over here. That's where we rode the horses. They have a Japanese garden, all this other stuff. We were out here in the downtown of Zapopan. We went to, downtown Guadalajara. We walked a lot. We walked all of this. We walked in, we went to this church, walked through this park, walked all the way to, this church here, the main, giant cathedral. We came out here to this market, okay, and so on and so forth. So we were there. We also came to, what is it? Like, I think the Mercado de Abastos, which is another main, market. We came to this touristy area, which is Tlaquepaque, which is also pretty cool. This is very, very tourist. So this is like a magic village. All right, what is it? Un pueblo mágico. And it's basically in the middle of the city, which was really, really cool as well. So look at this. So, hopefully you guys will, again, enjoy all the footage and all the stuff that I'm going to be showing you. But yeah, man, we were just thoroughly impressed. And we were thoroughly impressed by how rich the city was, but also how big and diverse the city was, and how much, there was to do, and how easy it was to get from point A to point B. Because look, we were staying up here by the auditorium, okay, and we took the train all the way down here to the Tlaquepaque, all the way down here. So, all right, and it didn't take us that long. It took us like 20 minutes, or something like that, maybe 30 minutes tops. And we walked, we walked from the train station to the train station, from the train station. And, really cool. Like I said, there's malls, they have all kinds of fancy things out here, Tesla dealerships, you name it. But the point is that a lot of the awesome stuff from the city was basically, available to everybody. Not just available to certain individuals of certain high incomes. No, it didn't matter who you were and what your income was, you have access to everything. Okay, so just like this giant park here, this is like an amazing, beautiful park, which you guys are gonna see in detail, later on in the coming weeks. Anyone can just walk in there. There's no fee. No fee to park. No fee to do anything in there. If you're gonna buy something in the park, it was like 50 cents for a bottle of water. Things like that. When we rode the horses, I was expecting to pay like $25 US to ride the horses. No, it was $5. Well, $6 now because of the exchange rate. But I mean, it was just amazing. Even food. Right by where I was staying, we had a bunch of amazing food options. Okay, everything from taco stands to actual restaurants to breakfast spots. To all kinds of things. And every time we got the bill, I was in shock by how affordable it was. I mean, I went to the taco stand and I had literally 12 tacos. Okay, 12 tacos here. Let me see if I can do the conversion real quick here. Uno segundo. 12 tacos, and it was like 160 pesos. So 12, and they were like amazing tacos. Some of the best tacos I had like in a very long time. And 160 pesos is, look at that. No, wait, that's not it. Okay, sorry. 160 is, less than $10. Okay, $9.75. Okay. Yeah, man, the dollar has lost a lot of value. Jesus, man. Holy guacamole. But anyways, sorry about that. Yeah, man. So that's like an important factor too. The fact that, the dollar is losing a lot of value, and we talk about this on this channel as well, and we're going to be talking about that, going forward, not just here, but in other videos. The fact that, for a lot of people, Mexico is starting to become unaffordable, but for Mexicans, not necessarily. For Mexicans, it's becoming, well, it's the same. It's not really that unaffordable. The inflation isn't hitting as hard depending on where you're living, and so on and so forth. So, because again, it's relative. Sure, things are a little bit more expensive in Mexico as a whole, but they're making more money. Now, it's not everywhere. Again, you go to a place like Merida, which is where I live, and things are getting extremely expensive, because they are. I got to really see it firsthand by going to Guadalajara and being in a rich city with a lot of money and seeing, wait a minute, like 160 pesos. That's like a pizza here in Merida, like a crappy pizza, okay, on top of that. So a crappy pizza in Merida is 160 pesos, and over there I get 12 tacos. And we went to another place that sold pizzas, and we got like these personal pizzas, which was a little smaller than the pizza I get here for a 160, and those pizzas were going for 55 pesos. Okay, 55 pesos, which that's like $3. Okay, just so you can get an idea. So, but the thing is about a place like Guadalajara is that it's not for everyone, simply because it's a major city. So if you're younger, okay, if you're a younger foreigner, a younger immigrant, okay, expat, if you're in the younger crowd, well, a place like Guadalajara is amazing, because you can come out here and you can actually work in the economy, or start your own business, or whatever it is, and you're going to be earning pesos, and well, you're going to be able to really enjoy the fruits of your labor. But as the dollar keeps losing value, or the Canadian dollar, but we're just sticking to the US dollar here, as the US dollar keeps losing value and the Mexican peso keeps getting stronger, well, and guess what, if you're just coming out here, to retire, or you're relying on an online job or some sort of job that's paying you in dollars, and you're not making that much money, well, it's going to get more and more difficult. And especially if you're going to be living in a major city. That's why a lot of times sleepy towns, on the beach, or even just sleepy towns in the mountains, or sleepy towns, quiet towns, non-touristy places are becoming more of an option for retirees, assuming they still want to come out to Mexico, because again, as I've told a lot of you guys, as things get more expensive in dollars, meaning the dollar keeps losing value, it might not be a good option anymore to even come to Mexico. It might just be a better option to move to another part of the USA, which I've said multiple times. So again, if you're moving to Mexico, again, make sure that you want to move out here because you want to be part of the culture. You want to immerse yourself, okay, in the country, in the customs. You don't mind the noise, okay? You like the food. You want to speak Spanish. You know what I'm saying? Like, you want to be, again, immersed, and again, as as integrated as humanly possible into Mexico. Because if you're just coming to Mexico to save a few bucks, might not be the best option for you anymore. Go find somewhere else cheaper. In fact, for a lot of people that are just looking to save a few bucks, you might as well just find a cheaper place in the USA to move and live in. Now, I get it. A lot of people are leaving the USA because, well, they want things like freedom. They want things like, nice parks, better infrastructure, better quality of life, so on and so forth. And so that's where they're looking into Mexico. And so, Guadalajara is an option for those of you guys that want something like that. Again, me and Christian, we really loved it, okay? So, again, we want to go visit again, and we're seriously considering, checking it out further, okay? I'll leave it there. But, because a place like Merida, it's just like any other kind of beach, city, town kind of area, where it has a lot of limitations. But again, some people are looking for that. Some people are looking for, again, the peace, the quiet, the heat, the beach, the calm, safety, that comes with a lot of these things, and so on and so forth. Because again, living in a place like Guadalajara, well, it's a major city. I'm not saying it's dangerous, because we felt extremely safe there. We felt extremely, happy there. We really didn't have anything to worry about when it came to anything like that. But, Obviously, the concerns of being in a major city, are there. Just like in LA. Look, a lot of people talk about Los Angeles as a very dangerous place. But when I lived there, I really didn't experience that much danger or felt in danger almost ever. But coming from Miami, dangers all over the place. I know things have changed and things are calmer and more relaxed now, but at least the way I grew up in real danger. I grew up in a real kind of crazy place. So, when I would, go visit other places in the USA, they weren't that dangerous. So when I went to Guadalajara, well, I kind of got the same kind of vibes, where it was just more like LA. Obviously, there's crime, but it's more like petty crime. And a lot of it isn't even, targeting you. It's targeting maybe small businesses, or something like that, where, just some guy goes to rob an OXXO, or a 7-Eleven or whatever, but nothing crazy. And like I said, I never felt unsafe. And in fact, and most of the times that we were walking around and doing, all the things that we were doing out there, we saw a lot of police, okay? A lot of well-trained police, a lot of very nice police officers. You know me and how much I love authority. Anyways, but yeah, no, actually, the police and the authority here, they were really cool and really nice. And there were, a lot of them. And like I said, it felt very nice and very safe and very, it was cool. I really enjoyed it. A lot of people, again, there was a lot of people doing, there was more people doing, fitness and exercise there than I've seen here in Merida. So, a lot of people, they're running, walking, no matter what the time of day, walking their dogs, riding their bikes, just doing a lot of outdoor activities. Also, as I was walking around, depending on the time of the day, but let's say like in the morning or in the afternoon, usually around rush hour, there was a lot of people, not just, there was traffic, but there was a lot of people walking around, walking from, their job to the train station or from their job to their house or biking or whatever it is, so a lot of people were more, doing all that stuff. So, and speaking of things like rush hour and, a lot of people in the city, one thing that I did notice, I love the city, but one thing I did not like, but hey, it is what it is. Again, this is, par to the course when it comes to a major city, is that, yes, there was pollution there. Now, it was very light. I'm not going to lie to you. Okay. Like I said, I've lived in LA and things like that. And, the pollution there was light in comparison to what you would see in Los Angeles, or other places, even Mexico City, which is crazy polluted. I'm talking about air pollution more than anything else. But in Guadalajara, it was kind of like, just a little light pollution, and those allergies, maybe, a combination of both, it made it like, sometimes a little unpleasant, but not unpleasant enough where I didn't like it. Okay. But, it was also dry, the weather was dry, I'm used to more humidity, so out here in Merida, Florida, a lot of humidity. It's good for the skin, good for, just good, I guess, remember, not everybody likes humidity. But out there in Guadalajara, it was just more dry. Now, it wasn't hot, again, like the hottest I think it got was like 91, but that wasn't hot. Again, I come from a place where it's like 106 right now. But even at 91, it felt more like 85, okay? And it really wasn't that bad because, again, at nighttime, it would dip down into the 50s, So it was very nice, okay? So the fact that it was a constant, weather change, from, it was nice and hot, meaning you can go outside and walk around and you'll break a little bit of a sweat, depending on who you are. Me, I sweat a lot. So I was always going to break into a little sweat here or there. But again, as opposed to like when I lived in Seattle, for example, which is like very rare for me to ever even sweat over there, okay, which I hated. So out here in Guadalajara, I was, you get to go out, and if you're walking around, you're doing exercise, you're doing your thing, you're going to, maybe break a little sweat, maybe. If you're just doing light kind of exercise or walking, you're probably not going to sweat. But it was nice, it was nice heat. It wasn't like overbearing heat like you're going to find out here in a place like Merida. And the weather, again, and it cooled down. Okay. And it was also very cool every night. So basically, you got your little bit of a heat wave during the day, and then it would cool down, and it would just kind of rinse and repeat. Now, I did a little bit more research on the weather here, and again, it seems like it's kind of like San Diego weather. Now, it does rain, and they do have a rainy season, and they got seasons, which is also pretty cool. But at the end of the day, it's pretty mild weather in comparison to what you might be used to coming from, I don't know, the Northeast in the USA, Fargo, whatever. You know what I mean? There's so many places out there where the weather is very, excessive. It seems like the weather here is nice. But the pollution comes just from the fact that, it's like, I don't know how many people, but like 8-9 million people living in the whole metropolitan area. And, obviously the cars, the traffic, and the fact that it's in the mountains and it's like in a valley. So a lot of that gets trapped. Just like in LA, a lot of it gets trapped because it's like, kind of like almost like in a weird valley type situation, and that smog or whatever kind of gets stuck there. Same as Mexico City, same as some of these cities where, that smog or air pollution has nowhere to go. Now, the benefit of living in a place like Florida or Merida, the Yucatan, is that it's very little, if any, smog or pollution because, well, it's flat. And, it just, all that gets to move away with the winds. The winds blow all of that away for the most part. So even though Miami has millions and millions of people out there, the pollution there was almost non-existent because of all the winds that would constantly, take it out of there. And even though Guadalajara would, again, and get windier, it's kind of like trapped in that valley, same as, Mexico City or any other place like this. So that was a little bit of a downside, to living here, but not enough, for not to live there. Because look, I loved Los Angeles and the pollution there was way worse. And it wasn't bad enough for me not to live there. Because in Los Angeles, I remember every single morning you would go outside. By the way, never. I don't know how the weather is right now, but when I lived there, it never rained. The weather was, pretty perfect. It's Los Angeles, Hollywood, right? But every single morning you would go outside and you would, you could run your finger on your car or on anything, really, on your balcony, on anything, and you would just get like this giant, what is it, like dark spot. Basically you're just, getting all this brake dust, all this pollution that would come off all the cars, that would be driving around. So nothing like that was here. I didn't see any of that here. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know if it's a problem like that or not, but it seemed like it was very mild in comparison to what I've experienced before. Like, again, even Mexico City. In Mexico City, it was hard to breathe, for crying out loud. That's how bad the pollution is there, a lot of the time. So, but at the end of the day, you know what I mean? Like, if I were to give Guadalajara, the whole area, Zapopan, mainly is where we stayed, but whatever, Guadalajara. If I were to give a Yelp review on Guadalajara, I'd give it 5 stars. You know what I mean? I really, really, really loved it. And like I said, the one only downside, that I saw was, again, a little bit of the dryness because I'm for me, I prefer humidity. I know most people don't like humidity. They prefer dry. So, that would be good, I guess, depending on who you ask. And then, like, the mild pollution. But the pollution is just kind of, it is, again, par for the course for a major city. And so, again, we were there during a holiday weekend where, the kids were not in school. So the traffic was not as bad. Everyone kept telling us, that the traffic is usually worse. So, we would like to go back, during a time where, the traffic is normal. And so we get to really see how bad the traffic is. But, again, I feel like there's a lot of mass transit options that kind of like make it, easier to move around and you don't always need a car, So, they have like, again, we were on the train and the train was awesome. You know what I mean? The fact that, even when we were riding the train at peak rush hour on a Friday, for example, it wasn't so bad. You know what I mean? I was expecting to be, kind of like, all huddled up together like a box of sardines, but it wasn't that bad. You know what I mean? Again, maybe it has to do with the holiday weekend. The holiday week, that they had, but it was great. So, yeah, like I said, so, to me, if I'm going to grade, Guadalajara and our experience there, it was amazing. We thoroughly enjoyed it. It was a lot of fun. I definitely recommend anyone out there to go visit it. I don't know if it's a place that a lot of people want to live, because the one thing about Guadalajara that I liked a lot, at least for me, is that it's Mexican, man. It's just as Mexican as it gets. So, in other parts of Mexico right now, like again, you go to Oaxaca, you come to Merida, you go to Mazatlan, you go to Puerto Escondido, certain neighborhoods in Mexico City, whatever. The complaint is, or the gentrification, again, quote unquote complaint, is that, things are starting to, cater to, foreigners, expats, immigrants, from the USA or Canada or Europe. And so what does that mean? Well, it's as simple as, things are in English in many places. Things are not authentically as Mexican as they were or should be, because again, they're catering to the tourist or the new foreigners that are moving in and things like that. And so it starts to lose a little bit of what makes Mexico, Mexico. But one thing I loved about Guadalajara is that it didn't have that problem at all. Guadalajara is, like I said, it's like its own hub, of industry and agriculture and all this other stuff. So it's more like it wasn't changing. You know what I mean? It's not changing. It doesn't need to cater to any outsiders at all. And so it is Mexican as can get. So you're not going to go to places, there are a few neighborhoods, again, a few neighborhoods in a giant city, but a few neighborhoods like, again, Colonia Americana, again, American colony. I mean, come on, the American consulate's there, for crying out loud. So, outside of a few tiny little spots where you're obviously going to see a little English here or there, you're not really going to see that. You're not going to see any. There's no catering to, Americans, which for me personally I like, because remember, I speak perfect Spanish. Well, as perfect as I can for a Cuban, but I speak fluent Spanish is what I meant to say. And so for me, it's great because I want to experience the real Mexico. Out here in a place like Merida or other places, it's touristy, just like the touristy areas in Florida. Because again, just like in Florida, in Miami, there are neighborhoods and areas that are just, Latino and Cuban and Spanish and whatever. And other areas that are American. And then other areas, again, that are touristy. And they're basically, only for tourists. So, a place like Merida, for example, is nice and great. But yeah, it was a quick reminder of how touristy this city and area is. Not just Merida, but Cancun and, the whole Yucatan, that it's very touristy. And as that industry grows, as more people move out here that are foreigners, well, it's catering more to that. Same thing as places like Oaxaca. Again, there's a problem with all that too. Again, in a place like Lake Chapala, Mazatlan, whatever. We'll be talking about more of that in future episodes. But again, in Guadalajara, it's not like that at all. Again, like Guadalajara, it's like 8-9 million Mexicans, living their Mexican life. And they got money and they got this. So, there are influences of, American culture all over the place. Again, I got this shirt there. Okay. We went to Guadalajara and we had burgers and pizza. Really good, by the way, really good burgers, really good pizza, really good American food, really good American culture. Okay. That was there, just like you would go in the USA and you would go to a really good Mexican restaurant, for example, a really good Chinese restaurant, whatever. But in in Guadalajara, it's Mexican. It's very, very, very Mexican. And even though there's a lot of cultural influences from other countries like the USA, the major cultural influencer, it was Mexican, man. It was just very Mexican. There was nobody there catering, and no one's gonna be catering to like any gringos out there. It's just 100%. At least from my experience of what I saw, and in most of the city. Again, there are certain areas that are touristy. Okay, which we're going to talk about in a second, like Tlaquepaque. So this is what we did there on our last day, and we went to Tlaquepaque, and in Tlaquepaque, all right, it's super touristy. Okay, and when we went there, we realized, okay, especially in the center. Here, where's it's Centro de Tlaquepaque, the touristy area. Is this? But anyways, when we went there, there it is. Is this it? Yeah, there it is. Okay. It was extremely, extremely touristy. And how did we know? Well, by the price increase, the price jump. in many things. Okay, and as we were walking around, going to restaurants, going to whatever, we realized, oh, wait a minute, things here are expensive because they're catering to the foreigner. Again, Mexican foreigners, Mexican tourist, American tourist, Canadian touristy. It's a magic town. Again, check this out. Look where the dot is on the map, okay? And look, that is a magic pueblo in the middle of this giant city. The airport's all the way down here. You see that blue spot next to my head, right there? Right there. See it? I'm pointing right. That's the airport. Okay? So look how far away the airport is, okay, from the middle of the city. And again, look at that village in the middle of the city. Okay? So believe it or not, things were more expensive here than in downtown Guadalajara, which is pretty crazy to me. And even more, and just as, again, more expensive as well as, in Zapopan, which is, one of the richest neighborhoods or richest areas in Guadalajara, which, by the way, I didn't know until we got there. I had no idea. It's not like I picked, whatever. We went on day one, we went to this place right here, which is the Mercado de Abastos. This is where all the food is basically, the main market, okay, for everybody. But not just for everybody, but for restaurants and businesses. So if you're a restaurant, your business, you come here and where you buy your stuff in bulk, okay? As you guys can see here from the pictures, all right? Oh, there we go, sorry. All right, we're just gonna kind of go, but anyway, it's also an open market, open to everybody, okay? And there was a lot of really cool stuff there. See, look, those are the berries, like for very cheap. Another thing, so like, for example, I talked about in other episodes here where I talk about olive oil. I use olive oil a lot, and like a bottle of olive oil like this is like $10 or more here. And over there, for the same brand, same everything, we got like, you can get like a liter or a gallon, okay, of olive oil for that price. So just to give you an example, you know what I mean? So it's not just like, what they grow there, but it's so many other things. Look, you can see some of the prices there. I know this is 2019, so it's not. But anywho's. And, they have a lot more access to so much more, so it was very, very nice to see the availability of so much more abundance, of all kinds of things that we just don't have here in the Yucatan. All right. So yeah, no, it was very, very nice. But like I said, the most expensive part of our trip and of the city, that we saw, okay, was Tlaquepaque. But Tlaquepaque was a tourist-only spot, okay? As opposed to, where we were in Zapopan, and we were in the downtown Zapopan, we were there. It's not really that touristy, It's like when you go as a tourist to Guadalajara, most tourists don't even visit Zapopan, okay? In fact, only locals, for the most part, stay in the Zapopan area. Okay, so that was also really cool, really interesting. But it's huge. You know what I mean? Like this whole area was pretty huge, which was, again, very surprising because I was not expecting, the area to be, so huge and so expansive. Not expensive, expansive. Okay. Like I said, that's another thing that I realized is that, things in Merida are actually getting more expensive by, just being here and seeing what the cost of living is out here compared to Merida. And it's like, oh, okay, I see. It really is getting more expensive in Merida. Okay, where I live. So that's something that, again, we have taken, into account, as we came back here and living here. But again, I mentioned why things are more expensive here now. Okay, because when I moved to Merida 6 years ago, it was supposed to be, it was one of the cheapest, more affordable places to live in all of Mexico. And fast forward today to 6 years, in fast forward or whatever, 6 years later, it is now one of the most expensive places to live. And when you go to a rich city, again, that has a lot of money, okay, people driving BMWs, Teslas, very fancy cars, very fancy buildings, all kinds of, money, just everywhere. And then you see the prices of housing, you see the prices of food, you see the prices of everything. You're like, oh, I see. I totally get it. But again, for someone that doesn't even speak Spanish, moving to Guadalajara would be probably more difficult than moving to Merida or Lake Chapala or Mazatlan or Puerto Escondido or whatever. Because again, they're catering more to you than anything else, as opposed to Guadalajara, which, again, outside of, the Tlaquepaque area, or what was the other area? I think it's the other area, which is the Colonia. Oh, there it is. Okay. See, Colonia Americana. Outside of those areas, you're not going to find, that much, what is it, catering to Americans. Okay. So look, let's just walk. Let me just show you this area here, so you guys can see what it looks like there. So this is the Colonia Americana. All right. See, very nice as well. They have another, walkway, bikeway through the center there. A lot of buildings, a lot of restaurants and bars and places that, you might enjoy. That some people might enjoy. Again, the younger crowd, more than anything else, will enjoy. See? All right. So you got bars, best place. See, look, in English, the best place in town, you see? So this area is called Chapultepec. Okay, this avenue is Avenida Chapultepec, and Avenida Chapultepec is like Paseo Montejo here in Merida. All right. You see like the giant buildings, apartment buildings, all kinds of things. Let's see if we can jump to the other side of the street. Okay, see, Guinness. So you guys can get an idea. All right, I'm gonna be checking out the comments. Okay, so if you guys have any questions or any comments or anything you want to add, you want to have me kind of talk about, whatever, let me know. Okay, so now we're gonna see if we can open the discussion a bit. But you see, look, all right, see, Black Coffee Gallery. See, it's in English. See, Cerveceria. This is in Spanish. Like a beer house. Chapultepec beer house. But see, in these areas, it's also very different, in the sense that, like, yeah, there's a few more Americans or a few more foreigners, but, also the Mexicans that live there, they want to, also experience all that. They want to live all that, Look, just like there's Americans in the USA that, love Asian culture, love Mexican culture, love whatever culture, any other culture out there. Well, there's a lot of Mexicans that also love, Asian culture, Korean culture, American culture, whatever it is. And so, sometimes even more than their own. Okay, see? So just FYI, all right? Let's just, gotta keep that in mind as well. But you can look at the city. I mean, look at this. This is not, we're not in a, in a burro, like on a donkey in the middle of nowhere here, It's a nice looking city, nice looking area. Okay, look at that. Look at it. I'm looking up. All right, so this is like, again, Colonia Americana, okay? On, look, Starbucks, Chapultepec, okay, you see? Next to the fitness, next to the whatever. You can get your Starbucks here if you want, if that's what you're into. Okay? All right, let me see what... So shout out to everyone out there watching. I really appreciate it. Hope you guys are enjoying the show so far. Val Rex says, do you think the crime situation in Guadalajara is overstated? Mexicans always warn me that it's dangerous, so I moved to Jalapa, Veracruz instead. Well, the thing is, it's like it all depends. Like I said, I spent a lot of time in the city, and we were staying mainly up here in this area. Okay, so we were staying up here in the, like I said, the Seattle area. Okay, so we were staying here, and it was nice. You know what I mean? Like I was not, I never felt, we were staying here actually, like around here. Okay. So I never felt danger, or I never felt unsafe, or I never felt anything like that. But I mean, when we were in certain areas, we were like, especially in the downtown Guadalajara or whatever, it didn't feel dangerous either. But I was constantly on guard, because every once in a while we would have some weird shady character kind of seeing that we were tourists, again, just like any other major city, and they would just kind of like hover around a little bit to see if we would let our guard down, to see if they can, pickpocket or steal something or whatever. So like I said, the danger is more like petty crime, but not, crime, like murder or death or anything horrible like that. Like, you find in any U.S. city these days. No one's going to be gunning you down. No one's going to be, again, kidnapping you. No one's going to be doing any of that stuff, But is there petty crime? Well, yeah, just like any other major city with millions and millions and millions of inhabitants, okay? So that's basically it. Like I said, that's the level of danger that I saw. Now, again, I did not go to any shady neighborhoods, but we did get close and we did walk around. We did a lot of walking. Okay, so look, we were here in Tlaquepaque, for example, right? And we walked, through all this over here on this end, okay, to get to the train, because the train is here. Here, let me just show you real quick so you can get an idea. All right. You see, there's the train, okay? And we walked around, these areas here. And we felt safe. But again, I'm sure it's a little bit of a rough part of town. And maybe at nighttime, it's a little bit rougher. And again, just using common sense. It's more unsafe. Okay, this is how it works in the hood. Because I'm from the hood, okay? In the USA and things like that. If you live in the hood, if you're from the hood, if you're, in there all day, every day, listen, it's a lot safer for you because you know everybody, they know you, and it's you know the whole situation. But if you're in the hood and you're not from the hood, then yes, the level of danger increases. But what kind of danger are you really in? Like I said, petty crime. You might get your phone stolen. You might get, your wallet stolen. You might get, like that's it. But no physical danger of any kind that I'm aware of, like that I experienced. Like I said, I didn't experience anything like that, So that's the train. And then basically, you just take any one of these kind of side streets to get to the center. Here, is that a side street there? Yeah, so you would take that, and that would take you, to the center of Tlaquepaque, which is the touristy area. Okay, we see it looks very similar to where I live right now in Merida. If anything, maybe a little nicer. And this is maybe a little hood per se. You follow me? So just FYI, because you can see it. You can see it's a little rough. Okay, but is it that rough? I mean, that's the thing, though. You know what I mean? Looks can be deceiving many times. All right. All right. So you see. So just to give you some perspective on the situation. So we walked, and we had no fear of any danger. When we were in Guadalajara, again, you're walking through certain areas. Here, there's like a main street. Check this out here. Oh, that's a tunnel. Yeah, they got tunnels. Where was it? Was it I think it was this street. Okay. So obviously, again, if you're walking in downtown anywhere, again, you're gonna have a heightened sense of you got to be careful. Again, same thing. No one's gonna be shooting you or kidnapping you or doing anything horrible like that. But if you're down one of these streets and there's nobody on that street and there's a bad guy that's looking to steal wallets or phones and and you don't know how to protect yourself or whatever, then yeah. And again, sometimes it's not like a violent confrontation. Sometimes it's simply you could be in a crowd and somebody kind of just like maybe bumps into you and boop, pickpockets you. You know how that works. But like I said, it's not anything that I would have felt in danger. Again, maybe I have a little bit of a skewed, version. I mean, it was a skewed idea of danger, coming from Miami and coming from more dangerous areas and then being in dangerous areas of like Los Angeles, for example. If you're coming from small town USA with no crime or nothing ever going on, then yeah, a big city like Guadalajara might be extremely scary and dangerous. Okay, it's just being honest. But if you yourself, if you come from a big city or area, I mean, again, you practice common sense and practice, just basic survival skills and, all that stuff that comes from living in a big city. Again, if you're coming from New York City, if you're coming from, East LA or certain neighborhoods in LA, Echo Park, whatever, I don't know, the valley, whatever, you'll be fine. You'll be totally fine because you already got, your spidey senses already kind of going off all the time. But if you're coming from, a small town, like maybe Fargo, or you're coming from, just certain areas where you don't see any crime and it's not a big city, then yeah, you might be more of a target just simply because you're not aware of your surroundings. Again, it's a lot of a situational awareness that you have to have. But that's it. So, but yeah, just again, no fear, be smart. Again, if you show fear, again, that they can smell that on you. They can smell it. So that, obviously they're going to, want to probably target you even more. But again, they're going to target you for bullshit. For bull crap. Sorry, pardon my French there. It's not like I said, see, I say this all the time. People are always scared, or what is it? The main, what is it like? The main concern a lot of Americans have, with Mexico is that, oh, they're going to kidnap me. Listen, they don't kidnap anybody. Okay, and again, they're not going to be kidnapping your dumbass to what? Take your social security check? I mean, come on. Like you've seen this city already, and I've shown you, what this city looks like. A lot of these buildings, like who do you think is behind this? Because again, the crime organizations out there in Mexico, they're the ones that are building a lot of this infrastructure. They care about business, so. Why? They care more about building these buildings and maintaining, life out here, okay, and cashing in, like the real mafia does, aka the U.S. government or the government out there. They care more about functioning in that sense than going out there trying to kidnap you, for your social security check or trying to rob you on the street. No, like the ones, like I said, it's not what people think. All right. Look, look at this. It's a giant city with buildings and infrastructure and all kinds of things. And it's like, no, man. They're interested in the big bucks, okay? And the big bucks, comes from big business, okay? Not from petty crime on the street, all right? Or not from, again, think about it. Think about the reality of what the news is. If kidnapping, for example, was really a big deal. Like if they're really kidnapping Americans or really kidnapping, foreigners out there on a regular basis in Mexico, don't you think that would be all over CNN, all over, Fox News, headline news, whatever it is, constantly? I mean, they already spread enough fake news about the dangers of what it is to live out here without there actually being any kind of anything. Imagine if there actually was something for them to actually cover. Okay, so that's the thing too. You got to keep that in mind that, there's a lot of not real news out there. Okay, a lot of misconceptions as to what it is to be out here. Okay, again, Guadalajara is a major city. Merida is a small city. We have 1 million or less people here. Guadalajara has like 8-9 million. I don't know, whatever, the metropolitan area has. It's a lot more people than here. Okay. Robert says that I have also heard that there are great medical facilities there. Probably. I mean, I wouldn't doubt it. With all the money that there is in this city, I would take a guess that yes, they probably do have amazing, medical care and medical facilities here in Guadalajara. Because if we have them here in Merida, I would assume that they have them there as well, or more, or better. Steven says Guadalajara is very safe. I have left the casino at 2 a.m. and gotten in a complete stranger's car. They asked me if I needed a taxi, and I said sure. I gave them 100 pesos for a quick ride. See, there you go. Mexico for Mexicans. That's right. So that's what I like about Guadalajara. Guadalajara is very Mexican, extremely Mexican. They're not looking to cater, to any outsiders there. So George says, thanks, Jose. Great city review. Great to see boots on the ground perspective. And you're going to be seeing more boots on the ground perspective. Like I said, I recorded a lot Oh, we got Carlos in there. We got somebody in the chat, that is, someone that doesn't like, foreigners. And by the way, look, as Americans, we know there are Americans in the United States that are, anti-immigrants, anti-immigration. So you're going to find that here in Mexico too. You're going to find like Carlos Alberto. But again, if you literally, ask the typical Mexican is not like Carlos Alberto, okay? The typical Mexican is very receptive and open to, Americans, to tourists, to foreigners, to whatever, as long as you behave, just like in the USA, don't be going to the USA and trying to change the USA or acting a fool, people are not going to like it. So it's the same thing here, we're by the way, we're going to be talking about this in the future, but that's like a major concern too, where there's a lot of Americans, that are coming to Mexico, and they're trying, again, I say trying because they haven't succeeded and they won't succeed, but they have tried to change the culture and change the way things are out here in Mexico. And it does not end well at all. You know what I mean? Anytime they do that, they're quickly reminded, that like Carlos says, Mexico is for Mexicans. And if you're coming to Mexico, you better act accordingly and you better assimilate. And you better, want, to enjoy what Mexico is, because if you are here trying to change it or make it something different, they're going to kick your ass out of here quicker than you can even think about it, right? So, and we're seeing a lot of that. And again, a lot of times, who is to blame for a lot of these changes? It's other Mexicans as well, because you got to remember who owns a lot of the businesses and a lot of the touristy gentrified areas. Well, it's Mexicans, and they want to make more money. It's all about greed. So then they see the tourists come, right? They see the money come, and so then all of a sudden they're changing their ways in order to cater to them. And, of course, there's a lot of resentment from certain Mexicans out there. But not all Mexicans. Remember, there's a lot of Mexicans that are making a lot of money from all this and taking advantage of this. But that's the thing, too. Those same Mexicans, that are gentrifying and catering to these, foreigners and expats. And again, man, this is the truth. A lot of times, there are certain places in Mexico, Oaxaca, Mexico City, whatever, where if you're Mexican, they won't even let you in the establishment because it's for foreigners only and for Americans only, or for, ballers only. So again, but who's to blame for that? It's not the foreigners, it's the business owners, which are Mexican, okay? And they are exhibiting racism, okay? And it is what it is. It happens in the USA too. It happens all over the world. This is nothing new. So, you got to keep that in mind too. You know what I mean? Like, it's just the truth. Look, like in Mazatlan, for example, right now there's a situation where, there's a hotel, a Mexican-owned hotel, okay? And the Mexican owner, okay, in that hotel is, was putting signs on the beach, telling the Mexicans to keep it down, to not play their loud banda music, because, the American tourists, they want to listen to classical music. They want to listen to, they want to calm and, and do their yoga and listen to the whatever. And please, you got to keep it quiet here. And so what did the Mexicans do in protest? Well, now they got, bandas, up the ass, they got bandas everywhere, they're basically bing, bong, bong, bing, bing, bong, 24 hours, 7 days a week, and protest. And so you told them to keep it down. And what did they do? Now they're going to not keep it down. In fact, they set a Guinness World Record, okay, for, having the most amount of bandas, Mexican bandas, at one time playing music, doing their thing. So they take it to the extreme, okay? Remember, Mexicans are also American. So, it comes a lot with, how Americans, in the U.S. also take it to the extreme. So when people try to come out here and try to change the culture, Mexicans quickly, act very aggressively and, like, again, just try to tell an American that they can't drink their beer and, ride their, what is it, like their big truck, or whatever it is, just try to tell an American how to live their life in the USA, and you're going to see how quickly they're going to, push back. It's the same thing in Mexico. So again, Mexico is very open and very receptive, and they love, the cultural exchange, and they love, they're the loving people, man. I love Mexico. But, don't be coming out here, trying to tell them how to live their life, how to do this, how to do that, how to whatever. But it's a complicated issue that we're going to be talking about more in future episodes, okay? So, but yeah, exactly. Foreigners are not to blame for the gentrification because again, you got to think about that. You put all the foreigners, all the Americans and Canadians combined, okay, that are in Mexico, and they still make less than 1% of the population. When you go to the USA, for example, 33%, okay, 33% of the Latino population is Mexican. And or I think it's 33% of the population period, is Mexican, okay? So, just FYI, you know what I mean? How different things are, you know what I mean? Like when you're coming out here. So again, for even, no matter how many foreigners are out here, you got to remember that it's not just Americans and Canadians and a few Europeans. No, there's a lot of people that are coming from Asia. Okay, there's a lot of Chinese people here, a lot of Korean people out here. There's a lot of other immigrants from Latin America here. There's a lot of Haitians, a lot of Venezuelans. There's Cubans. I could go on and on and on. So Mexico is also a very diverse country, and it's also a very inclusive country when it comes to the culture. But again, at the end of the day, it's Mexico. So yeah, you can come out here and sell your hamburgers. You can come out here and sell your pizza. You can come out here and sell your Chinese food. You can come out here and do all that stuff. But again, you make sure you're not how do I say, it's like trying to insult or change the culture, okay, in a way that is not Mexican anymore. Again, just like the same thing in the USA or Canada. Don't be going out there trying to force your way on anyone because it's not going to go well. So yeah, you know what I mean? Like it is what it is. So George Allen says, so much disinformation about Mexico. Could you comment on BRICS and how it will make Mexico more attractive? Look, man, I am not, by the way, I am no financial expert, no financial advice here, but I do know a few things about all that stuff. And look, all I'm saying is this, man. Mexico is not looking to be joining no BRICS per se. They're not looking to move away from the US dollar is going to fail at some point, okay? Once that fails, most countries, are going to be very happy to be sovereign again. What does that mean? Remember, every single currency on the planet is tied to the dollar. So as soon as the dollar falls, and that means that now their currency is now valued by their, what they have to provide, what value they actually have out of their country, why would they tie themselves to something else again? So I'm not a big fan of that propaganda with the whole BRICS thing. I get it that it's a thing, but again, if you really, really look at the numbers and you really look at what's going on out there and you look at all this other stuff, it's not really a thing. It's not really a thing, okay? These countries, you got to remember that the countries that are joining BRICS or part of that BRICS nation is like, China, Russia, India, which most of them, China and India don't even get along, for crying out loud, so what, they're gonna, have the same currency? No, they're not. So, I mean, like I said, when you really look into it, it doesn't make much sense, okay? But what I do see happening is if one day the US dollar just fails and there's no more US dollar anymore, going to have a few scenarios, and one of the scenarios, the most likely scenario, is that we will go back to a gold standard, and then every country's currency is going to be attached to gold, okay? And then on top of that, it's going to be like, well, what does each country provide? You follow what I'm saying? So, if it's a strong country like Mexico, remember, Mexico has lithium, has agriculture. Remember, Mexico does not need to import any food. All the food that they grow is enough to feed their people, and they export. Okay? So, Mexico has a very strong agricultural, and a very strong manufacturing sector. They got, again, things like oil, lithium, gold and silver. I can go on and on. So why would they attach themselves to other countries when if the dollar falls, their currency, could be so strong, believe it or not, that it can also be a world reserve currency. Now, again, I don't want to go way off the deep end here, but it's happened before. I don't want to get into all that now. Again, do a little research, read a few history books there. But you got to think about all these, factors. So why would Mexico attach themselves, to all these other countries? No, they want their own currency to be sovereign. They want the Mexican peso to just be its own thing on the open market. And if what you're seeing right now, as the dollar is losing value and the peso is getting stronger, and it continues to go in that trajectory, they don't have to do anything. Why do they got to join BRICS? Why do they got to join anything? Their currency is strong enough. Again, if you look at, currencies around the world, the most stable currency in the world for like 4 years now, like 4 years running, has been the Mexican peso. What does that mean? Well, a lot of people that move money for real, that have money, okay, out there, they're using the peso as an intermediary. Yeah, that's right. They're using that peso. They're putting their money in the peso. So think about it. Think about you putting money in the peso just a year ago and how much more value is increased. Let alone if you put it into gold and silver, or let alone if you put it into an actual investment in Mexico, like, I don't know, a copper mine, or I don't know, a house. So, yeah, no, Mexico's not, don't believe the hype out there, okay? Don't be thinking that Mexico's going to be joining BRICS, or whatever. And then the countries that are joining BRICS, again, that's another story for another day, all right? That's not what this channel's about. But no, I do not see Mexico joining anything, okay? Are you kidding me? Mexico is going to be a major powerhouse, okay? And it's already a powerhouse. But wait, as the dollar gets weaker, as maybe we go into World War III, I don't know. Listen. Are you kidding me? You know what I mean? It's just history repeats itself, okay? During World War II, when the U.S. had to send all their men out there to go fight the Great War, right? World War II. Who was the one that was providing all the food, a lot of the arms, a lot of this? Yeah, I know the U.S. was, contributing. We had women going into factories in the USA and working, right? That strong woman, I forgot what her name was. Agriculture, we had a lot of Mexicans coming into the U.S. and doing agriculture. But let's not forget that Mexico was its own powerhouse. There were a lot of things that were being built in Mexico. Okay, a lot of things that were grown in Mexico, food and shipped out there to the war. So again, you don't think it's going to repeat? Mexico doesn't have a dog in the fight. If we go to World War III, Mexico doesn't even have an army. They're not going to go out there and fight. They don't care. But they will sell food and arms and cars and technology and whatever it is they got to build, whatever it is that people need for the war, they got it here in Mexico, and they're going to be able to supply, okay, be the major supplier, okay? So, no. So, and if they're attached to something, that just devalues, what they're trying to do. So, just keep that in mind, all right? All right, so... Oh, I'm glad that you guys are enjoying the video. Shout out to everyone out there. By the way, okay, for anyone out there that's enjoying, these talks, enjoys, the content that I provide, enjoys everything I do here, please go check out my other channel, Jose Unleashed, okay? I'll provide a quick link for you guys. But once we're done here, okay, once we're done here with this live stream, we're going to be going live over there. And over there, it's more comedy, I talk about everything. Again, it's Unleashed, right? So it's more comedy based, but we talk about, things like, when I used to be a cook, today's videos, like, that time I lived in Seattle, and so on and so forth, all right? So we talk about everything, okay? Like I said, the time I worked at a strip club, we talked about the time I got kicked out of Disney, everything, all kinds of things, so many topics, all right? So if you're enjoying this and you want, to laugh a little bit, you want to get entertained, you want to keep, enjoying yourselves there, please go check out that other channel. And I'm going to be going live there after we're done here. But not yet, okay? We're not done here yet. Also, for anyone out there that's interested in moving to Mexico, okay? Or you're considering moving to Mexico and you need more information, go check out my website, okay? It's joseartiaga.com. It's easy, to find and, whatever. But on the website, again, you look, free resources for living in Mexico. Free local Merida resources, okay? All the way at the top, okay? There you go. So again, if you need something like a assistant, a veterinary, a vet for your dog, you need a lawyer, you need glasses, you need whatever it is, okay? A real estate agent, you got it all there, okay? and free Mexico resources. Again, doesn't matter what part of Mexico you're moving to. I provide, again, there's a video there that's going to talk about, how to find affordable rentals, how to, what you need to know before you rent a place or buy a place. If you need a banking solution, you need to get your apostilled, you need something to help translate, whatever. Okay. Again, more, things. If you need, digital nomad jobs, whatever. We got all kinds of things on the website. So the website is a plethora of free information. Okay, so not just the website, but my channel as well. So please don't forget to, check out the website, check out the rest of my channel. Okay, as you guys can see here, the channel. Again, all you gotta do is do a quick research, a real search, and say type residency. Residency. How do I spell that? Sorry. And then you're gonna get all the videos on residency. Okay, and just like anything, cost of living, whatever, cost of living, whatever topic you can think of. All you gotta do is do a quick search and you'll find it on my website, okay? Sorry, on my YouTube page, but also on my website, okay? And if you want a personalized one-on-one consultation, again, just click on personalized consultations, and it tells you everything you need to know on how to get in contact with me to talk to me one-on-one. But if you can't afford any of that, don't worry about it. That's why I do everything for free, okay? So I just wanted to give a shameless plug real quick on me and what I do here, for anyone out there that's interested, okay? All right. Delfino says, the United States is very beautiful, but is getting very expensive to live here. I live in California and recently had to retire, and believe me, it's tough to live without stress. So again, that's what we're talking about, the whole thing with the currency and all these other things. You got to consider and realize that, Mexico's not going to get cheaper. It's just not. Mexico is a booming economy. It has one of the youngest populations of any country out there. First of all, it has the youngest population of any developed country. Mexico is a first world country, okay? So, we're not talking about like Africa or anything like that, because they probably have younger populations, but that's not what we're talking about. We're talking about a first world country, okay? And I know Africa's not a country, it's a continent, but the point I'm making is that Mexico is a first world country, and it's a huge country, and they have, a very young population. They're not worried, about a lot of these things that are, other countries are worried about when it comes to, an aging population. So on top of that, again, everything that we just talked about, how they're an economic powerhouse, they're a manufacturing powerhouse. Again, they don't just manufacture cars; they manufacture things like computer chips, furniture, whatever, anything and everything. Okay, plus they have a lot of commodities, again, like oil, gold, silver, lithium. I could go on and on. So they're only going to get stronger. Their currency is only going to get stronger. The country is only going to get more expensive, because it's just the nature of it. So if you're in the USA and you're on a fixed income and that dollar is losing value every day, and it's losing even more value against the peso, you got to take that into consideration. And if some of you guys out there are expecting the dollar to fail, the dollar to fall and disappear, you also got to take that into consideration too. Because think about it, you coming out to Mexico, you move with your retirement, and you're not planning accordingly, all right? With diversified investments, not in stocks, okay? But like, again, buying gold and silver, buying a property, actual physical hard assets. Well, guess what? At some point, you just like you don't have enough money in the USA, you're not going to have enough money here. All right. So you got to remember all that. You got to take all these things into consideration. But if you're younger, if you're like me, or younger or older, but somewhere, in the younger age range, 50 years old and below, and you're still, and you still have the ability to work, you still have the ability to set up a business, you still have the ability to make money, and you can come out here, set up shop, and make money here, whether you're working for somebody, working for a business, whether it's a Fortune 500 company, whether it's just, a regular job, or whether you start your own business and contribute to the economy in one shape, form, or another, you're going to be fine, because you're going to be making these very valuable Mexican pesos again, these pesos are getting stronger each and every day. And, the more you integrate into Mexican society and the economy, the better it's going to go for you. All right. But you got to keep all that in mind. Okay. It's Mexico, it can be for everyone, but it's up to you whether it's going to be for you or not. Okay. And what is it you're looking for, and what is it you need, and what is it, what are your, you got to be honest. What is it that you're looking for? You know what I'm saying? Like, is it, you're looking for better quality of life to raise your family and be able to have a really good job? Well, yeah, you can probably come out to Mexico. All right. But if you're looking just to retire and you have a small, measly pension and things are just getting worse, these factors that we were just talking about here, you got to, again, take all that into consideration as well. What else, what are you going to do? And how are you going to deal with it? Are you going to be able to mitigate the cost? Are you going to be able to lower your standards, lower your living standards, lower your spending habits, and so on and so forth. And for some of you guys, it might just be easier to move to another part of the USA that's just more affordable. Because you got to remember, if you're moving to Mexico and you're going to integrate into Mexican society, again, if you're coming to Guadalajara, for example, you got to speak Spanish. And you got to speak fluent Spanish. If you don't want to speak Spanish and you don't want to integrate that deeply into the culture, well, then, maybe moving to a place like Merida, Mazlatan, whatever, some of these other areas that are catering more to you, the retiree that's just looking to retire for cheap. But again, those days could be numbered. It all depends on many factors. What the U.S. currency is going to do on the world stage, what the Mexican currency and economy are doing on the world stage. So as the U.S. gets weaker, well, so will your dollar and your spending ability. Okay. And as Mexico gets stronger, again, that's also going to determine on your end. So you got to keep all these things in mind. Okay. You got to just be realistic. I'm not trying to discourage anybody. I'm trying to encourage people to, to go where you're treated best. Okay. Like a good friend of mine, which I don't know, I never met him before, but I'm sure that we would, get along great, and I would love to have a beer with him one day. Would be what's his face, Andrew Henderson, I think his name is. But anyways, Andrew from the Nomad Capitalist, and he says it all the time, and I love that saying of you got to go where you're treated best. Okay, and for me, it's living in Mexico. Are you kidding me? Living in Mexico, I've never been happier. I've lived my whole life in the USA, and most of the time, it was a struggle. It was very difficult. It was not fun. But being in Mexico, oh my God, you know what I mean? Like, the quality of life is so much better. The people are so much better and friendlier. The food is so much better. And I could go on and on. Everything's just better. You kidding me? So... Joker's Wild, can you do a special episode on property rates? Both overpriced, also good I don't. That's not what I do, man. I don't even know. I don't even know anything about that. I'm not into real estate. I don't know jack squat about anything about that stuff. Okay, so that's not. To me, it's like if you are. Say like Nexo says, so disgusting to see gringos profiting from my country. It's not your right to come here. Again, you're always going to find people like that. Just like in the USA, it's like, we don't want those guys coming and taking our jobs. But like I said, they're very few and far in between. I'm not even going to censor or take, that comment away or that person away, because it's everyone's right, again, in a free country, right, to say what they have on their mind. But just understand that is... the whatchamacallit, like the minority of people out here, and that yes, of course you're going to see people that are racist like him, just like you see people that are racist all over the world, so it is what it is. But again, someone that says something like that, they don't have any idea. Again, all these buildings. So you're going to tell me that everything that is being built here, all of this stuff is all American? No, it's not. It's all Mexican. Mexicans are the ones building all these buildings. Creating all this infrastructure. Guadalajara was built by a few expats? No, it wasn't. Guadalajara was built by millions of Mexicans, okay? And that's who lives there. And these buildings are Mexican, and everything is Mexican. So again, you can come out here and say your racist things, just like, people in the USA, want to blame certain groups or certain people. But again, the proof is in the pudding. And you're going to be seeing it more and more in my future videos, as I show you guys what Guadalajara looks like from a real, point of view. What is a walking point of view? How I show in my videos. And you get to really see, and it's like, it's ridiculous. at this point when you hear, these things about, a handful of gringos, right, are coming out here to ruin Mexico. No, they're not. They're not. You know what I mean? Yeah, there are a few bad apples out there. Just like there's a few bad apples that come from Mexico, Salvador, Cuba, whatever, and they go to the USA, and they're not, bueno. They're not good hombres, right? They're bad hombres, as someone like to say. But it's like, no, none of this. All this is Mexican. All this is being built by Mexican. Nexo says, you'll see in a couple years how the increasing anger to foreigners becomes a real issue. I mean, it won't. I mean, of course it will and it won't. You know what I mean? Again, it's all because of fake propaganda like you. Again, look how well you speak English. Are you even Mexican? Because again, I don't know who's behind that. You know what I mean? So it's like you gotta, people, in the audience, you also gotta take that with a grain of salt. That might be just another gringo, trolling and talking crap. And if it's a Mexican, I mean, look how well he speaks English. So again, it's like someone with, or their Starbucks cup and, on a MacBook, on an Apple MacBook complaining about capitalism. And wanting to push communism. It's like, come on, man. Come on. Get out of here. Get out of here with this. You know what I mean? Like, you're just, all you're doing is, making a fool out of yourself. And it's as simple as that. And again, we've already talked about it in today's video, today's live stream, as to what's really going on with all that. Okay, that, in the few places where, Mexican business owners are catering. Okay, because again, you're blaming a few foreigners, but really it's a Mexican business owners that are behind this. But you're blaming a few Mexican business owners, for catering to a few American foreigners or foreigners, from wherever they're coming from. And you're not really, hitting at, what's really going on here. So, yeah, and I'm still laughing at you. We're all laughing at you. Okay. So, but yeah, like I said, what I mean? Like, if you ask the typical Mexican, all they're asking for is that, that there's respect of their culture, respect of their country, and that, you come out here and you assimilate, and that you treat, everyone with love and respect like they do to you. And that's it. And so when Americans or anyone comes out here, Canadians, doesn't matter where you're from, and you come out here and you don't respect, you don't, show love, you come out here entitled, and you come out here acting a certain way, then it's not going to go well for you. It's just like anywhere else. Again, try going to Japan, or try going to, any country in Saudi Arabia, in the Middle East, or any country in Asia, and start acting like an entitled immigrant from whatever country you're from, and go see how well that's going to be. Are you kidding me? So again, again, don't let one or a few individuals out there speak for everybody. Okay, the squeaky wheel is usually the loudest, but it's not all the wheels. Okay, so in fact, one thing that I was really surprised by in Guadalajara was when I was there and I was talking to people and I was telling people where I was from, because they're like, oh, wow, like, it's really cool that you speak Spanish, but what accent is that? Where are you from? From Chile. And it's like, no, I'm not from Chile. I'm from Cuba. Oh, wow, you're Cuban. It's like, oh, really? Da-da-da-da-da. But you also speak English. Like, yeah. It's like, oh, where are you from? Oh, I'm American. Oh, wow, so you're a Cuban American from Miami? That's awesome. That's cool. That's great. That's wonderful. So, no, yeah, exactly, Nexo. I agree with you there. Again, for Americans that come out here entitled, and they feel like they are, untouchable, and they can just do whatever they want. Well, yeah, they find out the hard way. Just like if they go to any other country out there and, have to deal with the same thing. So, no, I totally agree with you. You know what I mean? Like, it's that's the thing. You know what I mean? So, most Americans, most foreigners, most immigrants coming into Mexico, they embrace the culture and they love the culture. And again, if you are really Mexican and your Mexican history and culture, that it's a very diverse country. There's a lot of people from the Middle East. I mean, tacos a pastor, that's a Middle Eastern thing, and I could go on and on. You guys eat pizzas and hamburgers and listen to rock and roll. I literally bought this in downtown, Mexico, Guadalajara, whatever. So, I mean, come on, you know what I mean? So, it is what it is. I don't want to keep giving any more, what is it, like, what is it like? What is it like? Stage time, to Mr. Nexo out there, But just to go to show you, know what I mean? Like that's the reality of it. Because look, I watch videos on gentrification, for example, like what's going on in Oaxaca, and there's a lot of Oaxacans, which again, they're 100% correct. It's like, hey, we're being priced out. Hey, my property taxes used to be, a couple thousand pesos, and now it's like 30,000 pesos, and I could go on and on. But again, what is really causing that gentrification? Who is catering, to these foreigners, and who's overcharging these foreigners? Well, it's other Mexicans. Okay, and when you talk, again, when you see like the town hall meeting in Oaxaca, you're going to see a bunch of people that are not happy with the gentrification and the growth and everything getting expensive. And you're going to see a lot of other Mexicans, a lot of Oaxacans that are very happy with it. They're making money, they're doing business. They love the change. They love that, now Oaxaca is a place that people want to come to. And I can go on and on. And then you're going to see a bunch of other Oaxacans, that are like, hey, can we stop talking about what's going on in Oaxaca Central? No one gives a crap about the center of Oaxaca. What about all these pueblos and all these villages and all this and all that? So, I mean, there's many angles and many views to this, and it's not just Oaxaca, It's Mexico City and all these other places. We talked about Mexico City, the people that are the neighborhoods that are, being overrun by foreigners are rich neighborhoods. So who are they really pushing out more than anything else? Other Mexicans with money, again, just like the people in Beverly Hills, being pushed out by people from China or Saudi Arabia. It's a complicated issue. So oh, God bless you too, Nexo. Thank you for sharing with us and sharing your opinion. And again, this is very important to have and have these discussions. That's another thing I love about Mexico. By the way, shout out to you, Nexo. I appreciate you. That's another thing I love about Mexico. They have open communication. They have open discussions. They have, that freedom of speech. All these things that we just don't have in the USA anymore. And for me, that's, a main reason for moving or living in Mexico and not wanting to go to the US anymore, because it's this freedom that people really do have here. Freedom of expression, just real freedom. So thank you, Nexo, for sharing with us your thoughts. But anyway, so I think we're gonna start wrapping this up. It's already been an hour and a half of the show. So like I said, guys, if you wanna continue having me talk about whatever, you guys want to keep hearing me, and you want to hear more of my thoughts and more of my everything, please join me on my other channel, Jose Unleashed. We're gonna go live in about 20-30 minutes over there, so I hope to see you guys there. And if I don't, I'll see you here next week. Okay, you already know every single Thursday we go live on this channel, not just on my other channel. And again, every single Sunday I drop a video as well. Okay, these are some of the videos I've dropped. Okay, you guys can see there. So remember, I'm not easy on other expats or other foreigners or other immigrants, okay? I'm not, okay? I keep it real, okay? I'm not here, to cater to just one side or the other. I'm just here to, keep it real. I'm here to report and tell you guys exactly how it is and how I see things and how others see things out here, okay? And that's just the reality of it. Again, it's not for everybody. My channel's not for everybody, but for those of you guys out there that do enjoy my content, well, welcome, and I'm glad that you guys are here and that you guys enjoy all this stuff. But one thing I was gonna say is, like, I'm trying very hard to see if I can drop more than one video a week. But again, every single Thursday I go live, and every single Sunday I drop a video. And again, going forward, I'm going to try very, very hard to drop another video throughout the week. Okay, so hopefully start expecting 3 videos a week. Meaning 1 live stream and then 2 videos. Oh, by the way, don't forget to hit the likes. Don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already. And I think we're going to start wrapping this up, guys. So I really appreciate you guys. So we've been here for an hour and a half, and you already know I love hanging out with you guys. I love talking to you guys. I love having these discussions. And again, just going back to Guadalajara real quick. If I were to Yelp review Guadalajara, I'd give it 5 stars, 10 stars if I could. I loved it out there. Christian loved it out there. We thoroughly enjoyed our stay there. We are looking forward to going back. And again, it's not for everybody. You know, one of the main reasons I liked it so much is the fact that it's a real Mexican city. Again, it's very different to Merida, all right? I'll tell you that. And, you know, for me, Merida is just like a small, sleepy town, a small, sleepy beach town, which is great and wonderful. You know, as a Floridian, you know, it's something I'm used to and I like. I like the weather, I like the beach, I like all that stuff, but I'm a big city boy, and that's, you know, there's no big city vibes out here. But when I was in Guadalajara, total big city vibes, energy, you know, the energy from a big city and all this other stuff. So again, it's not for everybody. The younger you are, the more you probably will appreciate a place like Guadalajara. And the older you are, the more you'll probably, you know, like to be in a place like, I don't know, you know, Chapala, right? Lake Chapala, or Ajic, or Mazatlan, or Merida, or Puerto Vallarta, or whatever. Okay? So just keep that in mind, and that's it. You know what I mean? Like, I think we're going to wrap this up, guys. So, all right, guys, if you really enjoyed this content, you already know what to do. You know, don't forget to please like, please subscribe, please share, please hit the bell icon. But more importantly than anything else, please stay awesome. Again, thank you so much for watching. I hope to see you guys on Jose Unleashed in about 30 minutes, you know, give or take. And, you know, we're going to be talking about my life in Seattle, you know, and all that, you know, how I moved there and all that stuff. And you already know, if you want to see more content, just check out my channel. You know, I got tons of videos, okay, tons of content. You know, go check it out. Go check out my website if you're, you know, thinking about moving to Mexico or Merida, whatever. And if you want more information, more free information, okay? And you already know what to do. And if you know, you want to support the show, you know, again, I want to give a big shout out to all my members out there, all my patrons from Patreon members, you know, everyone that supports the show, you know, whether you send a few bucks, buy me a coffee, whatever it is you do, you know, I appreciate you guys. I love you guys. And thank you so much for everything. And, you know, it's a pleasure to be able to do this for a living, you know, which is, you know, make these videos and talk about how amazing life in Mexico truly is. Okay. So again, you already know the deal. If you like this kind of content, you already know what to do. All right. So love you guys. Peace out. And I'll see you guys on the next one.